Like really, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in.
Oh my God. Not my thing.
We can really, you can move those chairs. I really mean that. Like forget the rules. There are none.
You
If
can
you
definitely
really
sit
wanted
on the
to,
floor if you would like to.
if you really wanted to,
Though it's more comfortable on the floors back there where we have like the blankets and stuff like that. But, and you can color, right?
let's go.
Dodili vanilo arohem bashoshanim dodili mizot olam min hamidbar mizot olam min hamidbar dodili vanilo arohem bashoshanim dodili mekuteret mor ulevona mekuteret mor ulevona dodili vanilo arohem bashoshanim dodili livatini ahoti chala livatini ahoti chala dodili vanilo arohem bashoshanim dodili. Shabbat shalom, friends. Shabbat shalom.
To a more intimate Shabbat. Welcome to a more intimate Shabbat than we've had in a while. To our sweater weather Shabbat, and finally the weather has living. I've been showing up in sweaters for months, but finally the weather is living up to it. And I want to take a moment as we enter Shabbat together as a community. Just turn to someone you don't know and say, "I'm glad you're here." We'll have a moment during. We'll have a moment. Ooh, it's dangerous to give people this task. We have a moment after L'chadodi where we can greet each other as well, but I think it's good. I think I don't know if y'all are familiar with the rhyme, the reason of Kabbalat Shabbat, but the entire purpose of Kabbalat Shabbat is to get us to turn not to a person but really to a state of mind, to a bit of time, and to turn to that time and say, "I'm glad you're here," and to receive that back from that mindset and from the day, the Shabbat that we're about to experience. And so, with that thought in mind, let's bring in our Shabbat. Let's welcome our Shabbat and have it welcome us back with the candles on page 120. I invite Alan, Linda, and Aaron up. Yeah, please. Your family. And if you have other family, you can invite anyone you want. To be this close. 120. 120 in the blue brackets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. It's been a long time.
And so the. Yep. with candles lit, with the spirit of Shabbat beginning to permeate the room, I want to invite us to turn to page 130 for the words of Lechu Neranana.
Lechu neranana, l'Adonai, nariya litzur, yishenu, mikadma, fana, bitoda, bizmirot, nariya lo, mikadma, fana, bitoda, bizmirot, nariya lo. Shir l'Adonai, Shir Hadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruchu Shemo, Basru meyom leyom Yeshuato, Sapru v'goyim kevodo bechol ha'amim nifleota. Yadai, 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 Orzer l'tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha simchu tzadikim b'Adonai ve'hodu zecher ke'odsho. A light is shown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. And O you, tzadikim, you righteous ones, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim the holy name. Mizmor shir Adonai shir Hadash ki niflaot asa. Sing to God a new song, for God has worked wonders. On page 134. Zamru l'Adonai bechino v'chol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai bechino v'kol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai bechino v'chol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai bechino v'chol zimra. Zamru l'Adonai bechino Turn to page 136. Mizmor leDavid, Havo l'Adonai b'nei Elim.
Mizmor leDavid, Havo l'Adonai kavod va'od. Mizmor leDavid, Havo l'Adonai b'nei Elim. Mizmor leDavid, Havo l'Adonai
לאדוני כבוד ועוז. הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו. הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. This is the moment, our penultimate moment of Kabbalat Shabbat, where we welcome in the Sabbath bride. We encourage you to sing along. As a matter of fact, in verse 5, we will drop out. We're on page 138 and 139 in the blue brackets with the words of Lecha Dodi. Likrat Kahala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela.
Shama v'zachor v'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'lithilah.
Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela. Likrat Shabbat Lechu v'nilcha, Ki hi mekor habracha, Merosh mekerem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela.
Mikdash melech emelucha, U'mitzehi mitoch ha'chafecha. Ravat shevet be'mechavecha, Ve'hu yachamol alaychena. Lecha Dodi
Likrat Kala
Pnei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela.
התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קרבה אל נפשי גאלה. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nikabela. Lecha Dodi
לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי, שיר חברי, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מה תשתוכחי ומה תהני, בך יחסו עניי עמי, ונבנתה עיר אל תילה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה. והיו למשיסה שוסי, ורחקו כומר עלי. יסיס עלייך אלוהי, כמסוס חתן, כמסוס חתן על כלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
יעמידו שמותי פרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי. על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה.
לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום העטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Now, I've said this a few times, and it's still true. Ordinarily, you would never hear a rabbi telling you to travel on Shabbat. But I encourage you for this one moment to travel and talk to and greet, just as we've greeted the Sabbath, everyone in this room. Go say hi. It's small enough, I think we can do it in a couple minutes. So take a moment, go say hi, travel, talk to everyone around you.
Shir liyom hashabbat. Mizmor, mizmor, shir. Shir liyom hashabbat. Mizmor, mizmor, shir. Shir liyom hashabbat. Mizmor, shir. Shir liyom hashabbat. Mizmor, shir. Shir liyom hashabbat. Mizmor, mizmor, shir. Shir liyom hashabbat. Mizmor, mizmor, shir. Shir liyom hashabbat. On page 144 in the blue brackets. Yitkadal veyitkadash shemei Rama. Be'alman divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayechol beit Yisrael ba'gala u'bizman gari ve'imeru Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach Le'alam ulal me'al maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shemei Kedusha Leila min kol berachata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Da'amiran be'alma We rise and face Zion as we move to the Shema, the Baruch Hu, the first part of our Shema. As we turn to page 148 from Ariva Ravim, it's our prayer that asks us to notice time changing. And as I'm so fond of, I want us to take a moment, all of us, and pause. And putting ourselves in this moment, I want us to take a moment of introspection, looking down, of acknowledging the evening that has been brought on. The Melech HaOlam, Asher Bidvaro, Mariva Ravim, God who has, in his words, eveninged the evening into being. I want us to take a moment of introspection, and when we're ready, just look up at me, and we'll all say the Chatimah, the last blessing of it together. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch Ata Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim. אותנו למדתה. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו, וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Blessed are you, God, who loves your people Israel, whose name is love. And with love on our mind, we turn to the Shema on page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והאלו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, וייתן קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, אמת ואמונה כל זאת בקיים עלינו. We continue on page 156 with a reading silently or a meditation on what is true and trustworthy. Moshe, Miriam, Moses, and Miriam, Uvnei Israel, and the children, the people of Israel, Lacha anu shira, to you they sang b'simcha rabah with great joy. V'amru chulam, and all said.
Page 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר תהילות, אוסף אלם, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלם, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים, לפני משה ומרים, זה לי, ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Page 160.
השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמעו את צאתנו, ובואנו לחיים ושלום, מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים.
ברוך אתה Adonai, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread up over us, over all your people Israel, and over the heavenly Jerusalem.
Page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
That reminder of the covenant, of the eternal sign of Shabbat, keeping us and we keeping Shabbat. We turn to page 164 for our Amidah, which will continue through page 180 You're welcome to follow the liturgy or pray from the meditations of your heart.
Adonai sfatzai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Oseh Shalom b'murmav. May the one who makes peace in the expanses. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. May you create peace upon all of us who are not in those heavenly expanses. Ve'al kol Yisrael, and all the people of Israel. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, and all who dwell on this earth. V'imuru, and together we say, Amen. At this point in our evening service, we say a prayer for healing, not the Misha Berach. The Misha Berach is said normally when the Torah is out. But we say the words of Moses, the shortest prayer in our tradition. El na rafana la, O God, please heal her. And as we think of those in our community who may need healing, I want to start by inviting y'all who are here to share aloud the names of anyone you may be thinking of, people in need of healing, whether that is from malady, infirmary, from addiction, or spiritual illness. Thank you.
Alona Hell and his family, and Bob Halvey.
Julie, Karina, Cohen, and Michael Smith.
Karen Snow, Lily Kusel,
Shalom and Daniel and Emma Raymond.
Scott Van Gundy, Dave Stahl, Batya Peters, Sandra Kohlberger, Mira Engel, Victoria Spiller, Berdine Coven, Sandy Carmen, David Spodek, Lori Shaken, Debbie Pink, Rich Zabridger, Jim Rosenfeld, Naomi Levinson, Ruth Murad, Liz Herman, Joyce Cordy, Emma Raymond, Judy Sutton, Ellen Kashik, Bernice Paris, Ivor Barber, Don Barnett, Alex Chapman, Shelley Goodman Taub, Arlene German, Nava Storr.
El narefana la, el narefana la, el narefana la, el narefana la, ana, ana, elna, ana, elna, ana, elna. Ana elna, ואז נתחזק ונתרפא. אל נא רפאנה לה, אל נא רפאנה לה, אל נא רפאנה לה, אל נא רפאנה לה. ואז נתחזק ונתרבה. May God send to all of them a refuah shlema, a complete recovery, a complete return to wholeness. Shabbat shalom. Well, what do you want to talk about? Thanksgiving? It is when you're a Jew, if you're doing it right, every day is a bit of Thanksgiving, right? Modim anachlu, what you say in the very beginning. The first words, traditionally, a Jew says, are words of thanksgiving. Excuse me, modeh ani lefanecha. So this week's Parsha is Toldot. There's a lot of interesting things in it, and I actually learned in a conversation recently with my friend Jacob, who's kind enough to visit me tonight, the motto of the British Special Boat Service, which is by strength and guile. And I think those two polarities really set up our Parsha. I'm echoing a bit. Thank you. Awesome. But Toldot begins with Yitzchak and Rebekah, who have, after years of infertility, been blessed with two sons, Yaakov and Esav, or Esau. And even before their birth, the twins are struggling within Rivka's womb, and they prompt this divine prophecy in which God says, one shall serve the other. And I'll note as a sort of artifact of the Hebrew, it's unclear. It says the younger, and it says the older, and it says serve. But it's unclear the causality. And Esav is a hunter who's beloved by Yitzchak, his father. While Yaakov keeps around the camp, hangs out in the tent, is favored by Rivka, and is clearly good at running the camp. And in a moment of shock, grief, exhaustion, Esav is exhausted and impulsive, and he sells his birthright, his entire inheritance as the firstborn, to Yaakov for a good bowl of lentil stew. And the legacy of which we'll go into tomorrow, actually, at Torah study. And the Parsha continues until this almost climactic set of moments where Yitzchak blesses his children. And it's Isaac or Yitzchak's intention to bless the elder child, Esav. But Yitzchak is old and blind. And Rivka instead creates a plan for Yaakov to impersonate his brother Esav.
and receive the blessings intended for the firstborn. And Yaakov dresses in this disguise, wearing, he says, well, I don't think I can do this, Mom. I'm not very hairy. And he puts on a goat skin, and he wears it on his neck and his hands. And Yitzchak is a little confused about what's going on, but he says, oh, it feels like Esav, and indeed blesses the blessing of the firstborn, the one he'd intended for Esav, gives it to Yaakov. And when Esav or Esau learns of this deception, he vows revenge. And Yaakov is forced to flee to Haran. But before Jacob flees, Yitzchak receives another blessing, the Abrahamic blessing, and from Yitzchak. And he heads off to wherever Haran is to meet Rivka's family. And then we get a brief account of Esav marrying into Ishmael's family. Okay. So far, so good. If you have any questions, it's all in Genesis. Don't worry. 27, 29, that's your sweet spot. So, I don't know about y'all, but this is a bit of an uncomfortable moment. Right? Our patriarch, the great ancestor of our tradition, is a bit of a huckster, a trickster. He's a cheat, a crook. Yaakov doesn't look so good in this. And I'll point out, I was reading a commentary today that talks about, when Abraham is going to sacrifice Isaac, when many things are going on in the Torah, there's no emotional commentary. But here, right, we hear Yitzchak's shock at being misled, betrayed, tricked. And we hear Esav's, it's an anguished cry of grief. And when we feel we're entitled to something, like Esav felt he was entitled to this birthright in a world where the firstborn gets everything, when we make plans, how does it feel to lose them? I mean, it really doesn't look good on the progenitor of Jewish tradition. So 3 blessings show up in this week's Parsha. The first one is the blessing that Yaakov tricks his father into giving him. May God give you of the dew of heaven and the fat of the earth, abundance of new grain and wine. It's a blessing for the material things in life that apparently Yitzchak wanted for his favored son, Esav. And when Esav comes back, he says, Father, don't you have a blessing for me? His father says, no, I've got no more blessings. And Esav says, surely you have something. It's okay, I have a blessing. And he says, see, your abode shall enjoy the fat of the earth and the dew of heaven above. Yet by your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. It's a rough blessing to get. I have a brother, and I would not like to get that blessing. And then we have a final blessing, which Yitzchak gives to his son Yaakov before he flees to Haran from his brother. And it said, may God bless you, El Shaddai bless you. Make you fertile and numerous, that you become an assembly of peoples. May you and your offspring be granted the blessing of Abraham, that you may possess the land where you are sojourning, which God assigned to Abraham. This is the Abrahamic blessing, the blessing of really the Jewish people. Right? That's where it begins. So let's go back. Let's picture this disastrous family situation all over again. Yitzhak has a blessing ready for Esav. Rivka hears this, and perhaps thinking of the prophecy that God gave her when the two nations were in her womb, she schemes to make sure there's a blessing for Yaakov. She instructs Yaakov to deceive Yitzchak. Esav gets humiliated, gets the only blessing available, which is to live by the sword. And then Yaakov gets this extra blessing before he flees. So we've all got the picture? All right. Here's the rub. Yitzchak clearly had this extra blessing all along. The Abrahamic one, the last one. It didn't go to Esav even when he pleaded, don't you have a blessing for me? And yet it wasn't there. The Midrash says that Yaakov had attended actually Abraham's funeral. Jacob knew. Jacob and Yaakov, I'm switching between the Hebrew and the English name. Jacob knew this blessing was coming, and yet went along with Rivka's plans anyway. I was reading Rabbi Sachs's commentary, and it says that Isaac is fully cognizant of the nature of his two sons. That Yitzchak, Isaac, loves Esav, but knows that Jacob's going to end up bearing the covenant. So Rabbi Sachs points out there are these two blessings that Isaac had ready, one for each son. One for Esav, his favored son, his hunter, who probably wasn't good at managing the camp, was very charismatic, strong, ruddy, it says, was a good hunter, but wasn't ready to really take the responsibilities of a civilized life that they were living there. And blesses him with the material things that he would need. And yet, Yitzhak had this other blessing totally ready for his other son. So I have a question in this, and I'm going to invite you to participate in this. Who got this wrong? Was it when Yitzhak couldn't see the person who was literally in front of him? Was it when Esau burst into anger and humiliation? Was it when Rivka schemed to do this? Or was it when Jacob went along with that scheme? You can answer. This is a participation sport. Like, who got this wrong?
Jacob went along with the scheme.
When Yaakov went along with the scheme. Thank you. Does anyone have a dissenting opinion? Where was the wrong done? When Jacob deceived his father. So again, 2 votes for Jacob. Who else? What else? Oh, now they all come out. All right, Rabbi.
Reddit would say, yes, everybody stinks here.
Everybody stinks here. Okay.
I want to say the guy right. All right, I think that Rivka knew that, Yaakov was going to be the one to get the blessing, and she had to do this, and I think that Yitzchak went along with it because he knew that the rightful, beneficiary was.
So Rivka got it right.
She knew. She had the divorce, the prophecy.
Yes. Everybody stinks here. We got 2 votes for everyone stinks here. What else?
I think that Rivka, that wasn't really the right thing to do. I think she put her son in a position, and then right, and as a mom, that's not really the right position to put your family in.
Okay. So Rivka's, yes.
In the end, it turned out all right.
Diane has read ahead to next week. All right. So the feminist Talmudic scholar Maureen Kendler points something out here. In all of this frantic action and scheming and plotting, violence, all of the speeches and activity of this parsha, what's missing? There's one key thing missing, she says. The husband and wife never talk to each other. We're told that Isaac loved Rebekah, but he didn't share his deathbed plans for his kids. And Rebekah has to resort to listening behind doors. And Rebekah mistakenly is confident, and her wrong assumptions mean she thinks she has to act quickly to save the day without consulting her husband right back. I was thinking about this, right, by strength and guile. And I can't tell you the number of times here at Shir Hadash that I have needed to point out to adults as well as teens and children's that having a clever idea does not mean it's a good idea. Just as your first clever idea is not always your best idea. And I know this well only from learning it the hard way, by the way, and many would say actually that it has not sunk in yet, this lesson, but here we are. You had a point.
I just wondered whether, as a result of that,
We're what?
flawed, F-L-A-W-E-D.
We were not flawed before then, but now we are?
Well, I mean, I want to say race, as a people.
Ooh. Nope, we're going to save that for Torah study. There's too much there. Thank you. But that will take us too far. I think years of heartbreak, right? 20 years at least, could have been avoided and solved by the figures in the story. And Rabbi Sachs actually points out something interesting. You said everyone stinks, and he actually says the flip side. He said it's possible all four people acted rightly as they understood the situation, yet the tragedy still occurred. Isaac was right to wish Esav blessed, just as Abraham had been seeking for Ishmael and Isaac had seen. Esau acted right. He acted honorably towards his father and towards what he believed his father's intentions were. Rivka didn't know what had occurred, like Isaac's intentions, and so she sought to safeguard the future of her covenant. And Yaakov felt qualms, but ultimately did what his mother asked him because he trusted his mother not to propose deceit without a strong moral reason for doing so. What I'm trying to say is you're all right. Okay. The most Jewish comment I could have received after that. And all these people had to do was talk to each other. Perhaps half the work I do in pastoral counseling here at Shir Hadash revolves around this single idea, to be very clear. And I want to stress that more communication does not always mean better communication. But usually better communication has more as a component. Guile and extremely clever ideas and schemes are part and parcel of our modern existence we live in, whether it's the weaponized information or misinformation or lies or deceit that are the common practice of politics, businesses, and I've recently learned even Little League. But this, really, it was quite a story. But this week we have a simple reminder. Even with the best intentions, do we really want to live in that world with those consequences? Years later, Yaakov and Esav make up. They reconcile, though it is too late. He never sees his mother again. And they see each other openly for who they really are. They heal a great deal. And they see what I think is an essential truth of this week's Parsha, that the best time to communicate openly, they realize, was, 20 years ago. And the second best time to communicate openly is today. So, some food for thought, and Shabbat Shalom. With our drash concluded, I want to invite us to turn to Aleinu on page 586. Traditionally, we ask those under the age of bar bat mitzvah to go up. I might have to reach for, can I invite our youngest members of the audience, of the Kahal, to come up and open the ark for us? That is you and I, by the way.
Page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו ככם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Continuing on page 590. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
You may be seated.
Mika, you could have a lollipop if you want.
At this point in our service, we take a moment before we conclude to acknowledge those who are no longer here with us, yet who we carry with us in our memory. And I want to invite Kendra to read the yahrzeits aloud of those the congregation is thinking of this week.
We remember those who died in this season in years past. Beatrice Kaplan, Betty Hirsch, Claire Sobel, Dave Urban, Dr. Joseph Sherman, Gary Bronstein, John McIntosh, Manya Sobel, Melvin Rosenberg, Miriam Flight Sobel, Ron Leiter.
I want to invite you, if you are in the period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning, to rise or share the name aloud, or if you're in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, to rise and share the name aloud of those you are remembering. Thank you. If you are in the Shana, the first year of mourning, that cycle, I invite you to rise and share the name aloud.
My mom, Vivian Crum, but also it's a yahrzeit of my father, Yisrael Shraga ben Hanoch, 15 years.
Tודה.
My nephew, David Sherman.
My parents, Jack and Edith Schreiber.
If you are observing a yahrzeit this week, the anniversary of someone's passing, I invite you to rise and share that name aloud as well.
My brother, Ron Leiter. My father, Dr. Joseph Sherman.
And now, according to your tradition, either standing or sitting, I invite you to join us for the words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah be'alma divrach chayuteh v'yamlich malchuteh v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman karai kriv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha brichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiram be'alma v'imru Yehei shlama rabba min shemayim v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Oseh shalom b'mamav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. May their memories of all you are thinking of be for a blessing. You may be seated. I think we have some announcements.
Give them very quick. We will gather here again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for Shabbat Cafe in the foyer, 9:30 a.m. Torah study, and 10:30 a.m. our Shabbat morning service. We will reconvene again for Shabbat next Friday, but I want to preview what's going on Saturday, December 7th, starting at 9 a.m. with our Shabbat Cafe and 9:30 a.m. Torah study. And at 10:30 a.m. we'll have our usual Shabbat service alongside a special youth Shabbat for kindergarten through 6th grade families with our new musician in residence, Lior Ben-Hur. And for our Tots, we have Tot Shabbat story time at 11:30 a.m. And after services, everyone is invited to the Shabbos table lunch around 12:15. Please RSVP online so we have enough food. And lastly, and very importantly, on Sunday, December 8th at 10:15 a.m. is our congregational town hall meeting, both in person and via Zoom. Please register online for that.
With that, I want to invite Mika and her family here, home from college, to lead us in the Kiddush. I guess it's Mika and Challenge by Choice family.
ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר, יום השישי, ויחו השמיים והארץ.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה
וישבות ביום השביעי
מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Hold it up and say Savri.
Baruch atah Adonai
Chaim.
Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereishit ki'u yom tehillah למקרא את הודש, זכר יציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, עם כל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
לחיים.
Rabbi does a different melody.
That makes sense.
Yom HaShishi.
All right, friends. I want to invite you while we're standing to get near your family or join your chosen family or someone you happen to be fond of. And as we conclude our service, we say the traditional words of blessing for our children, for our families to say, Yisimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim v'Menashe, Yisimech Elohim ke'Sarah ke'Rivka, ke'Rachel u'Leah. May God inspire you to be like the loving parents, the loving families of our tradition, and maybe to be even better communicators. And we say, Yivarecha Adonai v'Yishmerecha, may you be blessed, may you be kept. Ye'or Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, may God's light shine upon you. May God's face turn towards you with a bit of divinity of attention in life. Vayasem lecha shalom, and may all your ways be peace. And with that, we sing. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. May God grant peace, peace of all kinds in the world, in the nation, and most importantly, starting in the home to us all. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.